know knowledge of self is also knowledge of them. They don't believe in God, but they fear us watching, my friend. If it's not in the pen, then they want us locked in the ends. The block is still hot, that's why man them buck with a skate.
Now, the biggest and most important fighter of the year, Brad.
I had two. Robert Whittaker, I had, purely because he wasn't, at the beginning of the year, he was kind of on the fringe of the conversation. He's come in as an underdog twice, beat two guys that people weren't really predicting to beat, wins UFC titles. That's pretty cool. And my other one was Kyoji Horiguchi.
Yeah.
Cut from the UFC on a great winning streak, because I don't know fucking why, because they're not really bothered about that division. And he goes on to get 5 big wins, 5 stoppages, and then 3 stoppages in 3 days. You got 2 knockouts and a submission in 3 days at Rising on New Year's Eve. So I know it's one that's probably a bit under the radar, but Horiguchi for me has had a pretty fucking good year.
What are you saying, Eddie?
Fighter of the year. Did we do the other ones already, or we're not doing the other ones?
We've done all of them.
Really?
Yeah.
You did favorite moment, all that shit?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, I didn't get to say mine. All right, whatever.
You can tell us right now, because I'm sure we did that, but yeah, go on.
Okay, because we did. Well, you said worst and best moment. Best moment, Fabricio Verdun smacking the shit out of Kobe Covington with a boomerang. That was fucking awesome. Because we all want to do that shit, man. Favorite moments, the one that I want to say, I mean, Doug Rose, huge moment, but the one that I want to give out, that I want to say was for favorite moment of the year, John Moraga knocking out Magomed Bibulatov at UFC 216. The knockout was beautiful, but because I know the guy, it's like I used to train with a guy a long time ago, and I wish him well and everything, but his story is so crazy, man. Like, if you just knew the details of his story, you'd be like, what the fuck? So the fact that he did that and the emotional response that he had to it, there was no chest beating. There was no, I told you motherfuckers I'm still here, or I want to fight so-and-so, or DJ, I'm coming for you, motherfucker. You took everything, that worked for, whatever the fuck. None of that shit happened. He was emotional, which he never gets. He was in tears, and he just wanted to go see his boys. Like, he just wanted to go to his family, like, immediately. He didn't give a fuck about the interview. DC was trying to pull quotes out of him. He didn't give a fuck. He's like, let me out of here. I want to go see my family. I just saved my career. That was my favorite moment.
What were your best moments, Brad? Just so that I can recap, because I'm sure we did, but I'm hearing this.
Like, on a personal note, Reed versus Word was sick. I'm going to annoy Eddie with this one again. McGregor versus Mayweather.
Oh shit!
Christ.
All good.
You know what? on a serious note, if someone said to me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago that a fucking UFC champion would fight a heavyweight boxing champion, I'd have laughed in their face. Mm-hmm. So in some respects, it's like, yeah, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, as long as Paulie doesn't get a fight, I'm cool with everything.
My favorite moments, just to recap, was the return of the Korean Zombie and knocking out Bermudez.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
A lot of people forget about that fight, but it was kind of a beautiful moment to kind of see this guy come back and show that he still had it. It was kind of sucky that we lost him in the first part. I know obviously it was military based, so he had to go. But it was still cool to see him return and obviously get that W as well. My other one was seeing Max Holloway beat Aldo again, because after the first time, a lot of people were saying there were a lot of excuses. Aldo had injuries. It wasn't the same Aldo. Aldo would beat him if he'd used well leg kicks. He tried using a few leg kicks in the second fight. The same thing still happened. Max Holloway dominated that fight and got the finish again. He just picked him apart. And it's one of my favorite moments, just because I feel that, like, it was full circle for Holloway. He'd started from the bottom, worked all the way to a mid kind of area, got knocked back down again, and he had to rebuild. And then we're talking about one of the most dominant people in the UFC pound for pound. But what was your best fighter, your favorite fight you picked for the year, Eddie?
All right, so I was stuck between two of them, or three of them, honestly. I mean, the only three that anyone's talking about: Robert Whittaker, Max Holloway, and Demetrius Johnson. Robert Whittaker doing the shit he's done, is pretty impressive, you know, outside of, you know, actually fighting Michael Bisping, which I wish we would have been okay with, honestly, watching, but you know, we're not gonna get that fight. Max Holloway, you beat this best featherweight in UFC history twice in a row and made him look like just a regular dude. But Demetrius Johnson continues to defend the belt, continues to win no matter what people try and say and do or whatever. They're waiting for him to fall off or whatever they're looking for. You know, breaking the record. As much as I didn't really care about the record, he still broke Anderson Silva's record, right? And then to finish fights. I mean, remember the knock on him was just like, he's boring. He doesn't finish fights. Well, he's finishing fights, bitches. What the fuck? What do you got to say now? Right? And he's willing to fight TJ. And he's willing to fight Cody. Pay the man. He'll fight. He'll fight Conor if you pay him enough. He don't give a fuck. Right? So to me, he's fight of the year for all he's accomplished. And it's just like, with Ronda, we used to say, it's like, well, she's a one-trick pony, you know. Okay, she's a one-trick pony, but, you know, go ahead and beat that one-trick pony. It took Holly Holm to do it. And then Amanda Nunes after, you know, Ronda was already broken. But DJ's good everywhere. He's going to be good everywhere. He might even get better everywhere. You know what I mean? It's you know, and he's accomplished a lot this year. So to me, he's a 1A and Max 1B and honestly, Robert Whittaker 1C. But I give it all to DJ.
I'm 100% with you. I went Demetrius Johnson. He broke the record. He's been dominant in every fight that he's had over recent years. Again, we're talking about arguably one of the most ridiculous video game-esque submissions in MMA history. And I just don't see realistically anybody beating him. I think that, you know, you give him options wherever, if he goes against a jiu-jitsu guy, he can sub him. If you go against, you know, a wrestling guy, he just knocks them out. You know, an Olympic caliber as well. You know, what was the quote? There's 4,600 or something Olympic gold medalists. There's only one flyweight champion. What more do you want, man? I think the guy is a talent. I think his personality. I think that you could. I personally, in my opinion, believe he's the pound for pound best in the world, pound for pound. And I think it's going to take something ungodly for him to be, you know, dethroned as far as just his title, let alone arguably the best in the world. So that's my pick for the fighter of the year, Demetrius Johnson, for breaking the record, retaining his titles the most amount of times in UFC history, and again, just being an overall badass, man. Like, you know, you can sleep on him and say that, you know, he doesn't finish, and then he turns around and he starts snapping arms off and ragdolling Ray Borg like he was a kid. It looked genuinely did that fight. People talk about Khabib's ground game, you know, it's ridiculous and all this, that, and the other, and I completely agree. But Demetrius looked so technical when he was ragdolling Ray Borg. It felt like he was 5 steps ahead. It felt like you'd put me in against fucking Gordon Ryan. That's what that fight looked like. It just looked like there was nothing for Borg to do. He was literally there for the ride. It was like giving your 8-year-old kid a fucking, I don't know, like a Sega Mega Drive and saying, come on, let's play Street Fighter. I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. They're looking like there's 3 buttons here. There's a weird, where's the analog sticks? That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, I think it's beyond a doubt now that he's technically the most complete fighter in mixed martial arts. Certainly in terms of guys who are at the top of the game and at their peak. That's why I only think he's going to get beaten by someone with more physical attributes, and I think it's perhaps Dillashaw's going to do it. But I think, you know, all things being equal, if he stays at 125 and fights other 125ers, I don't see anyone being technically more complete than DJ.
We'll soon see in 2018.